All right, everybody, welcome to Soft Elbows. I'm Steve Yonda. I spent most of the day getting choked, apparently, based on the markings on my neck. And that's Abby Richards. She spent her day or week, I would imagine, recovering from competing at U.S. Nationals, which is pretty cool. Abby, how you doing?
I'm doing great, Steve. Nice to see you here.
I just want to let you know, I want to let everybody know, we have no idea what we're doing. Zero idea. But in a tribute to the title of this show, which you all chose, and we really appreciate it. I spent most of my training session today having incredibly soft elbows in all of your honors. So that's the sacrifice that I made for all of you. You're welcome.
I love that. That's more than I did today. I rode a bike for 30 minutes and then I booped a barbell.
Booped a barbell. I feel
Booped
like
it.
so let's start with a couple things. I think these is really important to get out of the way. This is the first episode. We got to set the groundwork. Number one, in this show, there'll be none of this. Oh, none of the opinions are that admin. Like, no, you're gonna own all of your opinions, Abby. We're not gonna have any of this. Like, oh, I'm just the admin. I'm just here to facilitate the train wreck.
I do be facilitating train wrecks, and yeah, my face is gonna give it away. If my words don't, my face will. So don't worry.
All right, number two, this show is almost certainly likely to be very short-lived. Brian is, if we make it past the first episode and Brian hasn't canceled us, we're really doing well.
Yeah.
Brian, for all of you who don't know, is the godfather, if you will, of the WSO board, and he is watching us like a hawk. Brian, I apologize for almost everything you're about to hear.
I don't apologize for any of it. Sorry.
All right, I'll apologize for me. All right, as far as how this show's going to work, we're trying to give you guys as much notice and as much information as we can about what we're doing on the WSO board to kind of like promote weightlifting in the local community. We are going to give you information about meets. We're going to give you recaps of meets. We're going to tell you how the local lifters are doing, any like things that the clubs are doing, the local clubs that are cool and that you guys want to be a part of and should be a part of. We're here to let you know. But a lot of that is going to require some interaction from you guys. We want to hear from you. We don't know to promote the things if we don't know that it's going on. So reach out to Abby or me, I guess, if you're like super lonely, and we can, make it happen. We can promote it on the show. Abby, how does that sound? Does that sound all right?
Sounds great to me.
We're also, hopefully, depending on how many of you want to see it and want to hear it, and also how many of you are actually our friends, we might have a couple special guests in some of the future episodes. Who's to say? You just got done competing at nationals. A lot of folks just got done competing at nationals. We had a lot of local lifters do so incredibly well. So let's start by talking about how well represented this area was at nationals. And I think we got to start with the two folks that won national titles, which as someone who will never even come within 40 miles of that, thinks is so incredibly cool. You want to start with Chris? You want to start with Kateri?
Let's start with Chris. Yeah. Oh my God. I was there for that session and it was freaking electric. I mean, he was getting pumped up. His coach was getting pumped up. We had, I don't know if you guys know Charisse Creel. Like, she is like just the biggest cheerleader for anybody in the WSL. I love her so much.
She is great.
And like, she brought the energy. The crowd brought the energy. It was a really good time. And it was really, really cool to see. He swept gold and, it was a great way to kick off the weekend, I think.
I'm gonna take you guys behind the scenes because like his actual performance on the platform was awesome, but I got to be like in the back helping load and stuff like that, and it was even more incredible seeing what happened in the back. So here's what happened. He opens at 101, and he makes it. And I'm gonna share just between you and me, Abby. Don't tell anybody. Don't tell anybody. Certainly don't tell Chris. When he made 101, I was a little worried because like. I train with Chris on a somewhat regular basis, and I've seen him like just sling weights. And I'm not going to lie, I was a little nervous. He then went in the back and made 90, 95, and 100, and then went out and took his second attempt at 104 and just smoked it. Absolutely smoked it.
So he waved all the way back down.
And then he went into the back and hit 103 and then came back onto the platform and made 107 and just annihilated 107. Like this man did 3 waves en route to getting a gold medal at the national championships. like, and the best part is like he invests in his performance in all of the ways that you have to be a national champion. So for him to put in the work for nutrition, for recovery, for like just psychologically preparing for the lifts, and just the intensity that he brings every single time he trains, like that, you want people like that to be rewarded. And I could not have been more pumped for him. It was awesome.
Yeah, that was awesome. I haven't met him yet personally, but like we interact on the Instagram sometimes, and like he's constantly on the DMV, like on the DMV page, like clapping it up for everybody. Literally everybody. The guy supports everybody. I love it.
I don't want to like spoil any surprises, but maybe you'll get to meet him at least virtually sometime soon.
That'd be awesome.
All right, you want to talk about Kateri Peters? I had no idea who she was before like a local recent meet, and my introduction to her was at a local meet, clean and jerking 130 on her third attempt, and it was one of the coolest lifts I've ever seen live. Like just like it, the whole place went nuts. Just crushed it for her third lift, and I was like, that's like a really awesome max effort. And then showing you how dumb and foolish I am. And for all of you who don't know, you're about to learn. I'm really dumb and really foolish. She opened with 130 at nationals. And again, just you know, like it was no big deal. Like it was crazy. So I have one more thing that I thought was super impressive about her performance at nationals, if you don't mind.
Yeah, go for it.
She went from, so she missed her first two snatches, makes her third snatch to stay alive, then makes her first clean and jerk and wins nationals on her first clean and jerk. So like
That's
her
awesome.
third and fourth lifts, like that's all, like she's so good that like that's all you need. Just give her two lifts and like whatever. Pressure doesn't mean anything. Just like, and oh man, it was great. It was so cool.
Yeah, she clutched it up. She's like our only Delaware lifter, I think, in the WSO, and I think she represents.
Well. We just need one.
All we need is one, and it's Kateri.
much like my jokes, I don't need everybody to laugh. I just need one, and it's mostly going to be Abby. It's not like everybody at home's like, "Will he just shut up?"
Fun fact though, Kateri was also Boss's first national champion. I think Jason put out a post about that.
Yeah.
Like their first national champion. I think that's pretty awesome.
Yeah, and it's unfortunate that Jason is just such a terrible human being, you know? Like no one deserves it less than Jason. You know what I'm saying? Like I
joke about that. I love Jason and Gab.
No, I'm obviously kidding. Jason is great. Very like and just works so hard for his athletes, all of them. And I was just up there, Chris and I actually went up there to lift some weekend recently. And I didn't realize how large that team is.
Yeah.
And like I know several of his lifters, the level of investment that he puts into not just the Kateri Peters, and he's got several high level lifters, but from talking to all of them, and they range the gamut in terms of like, you know, experience level, skill level, it really genuinely seems like he puts the same amount of investment into all of them, which is one, incredibly difficult for anyone who's never coached. Like that's hard to do with one person, much less a handful, much less a team of, I forget how many he told me, but there's dozens and dozens of lifters. It's great.
Yeah. I haven't dropped in there yet because he said I have to bring my birth certificate and another form of identification to walk in. So he really breaks security measures for me. I've got a gnat flying around me. Sorry.
The last time when Chris and I went up there, Jason and I had a rather R-rated exchange that I thought was awesome, but that Brian for sure would not let us print this. So like come find me at a local meet and I'll tell you what a delightful story that was. How about you want to talk about the power couple from RP? Troy and Victoria.
They're wonderful people. I love them so much.
Yes.
I think I'm literally going to say that about every single person that we're going to talk about.
I'm just going to start just to be contrary, and I'm just going to pick like randomly. I'm just going to be like, that person is terrible, and I'm going to see if I can hold a straight face. The problem is, like all of the good lifters that I know of in this area are also good human beings. It's really unfortunate because I would love to talk shit on someone. Give me something. No, Troy. So Troy finished second. Beat
Yeah,
a
right.
former, just so we're clear, beat a former Olympian to do that. Finished second, snatched 140, clean and jerked 180, and I was in the crowd for the 180 clean and jerk, and I messaged him afterwards, and I'll say it again. The 180 clean and jerk was so electric, just so electric, and he like. I don't lift with him on a regular basis,
Yeah.
but I've lifted with him periodically for several years now, probably going on 6-7 years. And just he is so focused and trains so consistently and so hard. And I just like it's so great. Again, like similar to Chris, similar to Kateri, like to see those types of people rewarded for all of that. We can talk more in depth about this maybe on some other show, but like just the weightlifting is so unique. Maybe not unique, but like just it can be just such a grueling mentally, emotionally, and physically sport. And it's tough to bring the same level of intensity, the same level of focus, the same level of commitment every day. So like when you see people like Troy and the others do that, man, it was great. He also finished 5th overall of all the males that competed at nationals, finished 5th by Sinclair, which like that's wild. That's wild.
Love it.
Yeah,
his wife Victoria was in my session, and like Victoria is such a great friend and just one of those people that like even when you don't train with her, she's still checking in to see how you're doing, like how's training going. She's sending you stuff to motivate you and keep you going, and it feels like you have a training partner in her. And just I love lifting with her, I love competing with her, and seeing her do really well. And I still think that 115 was right there. I think she was robbed, but
Can you imagine being Troy and being as good and as strong as Troy is, and knowing that you're the second strongest person in your marriage? Like that's got to be just like super annoying for him. But it's the truth is what it is. Sorry, Troy. Like she's great. So Victoria went 3 for 6, 87, 113. As you said, the 115 was like right there. And finished 9th in a very, very tough 71 kilo weight class. I know that you know that because you are also in that weight class.
Oh yeah.
We're going to hear more about your adventures in a little bit, but let's talk about who else you want to talk about from the local folks that competed at nationals.
Yara did really well. She's one of those people that another one, I haven't met her yet, but like I've interacted with her on the socials, and I love like her lifting that she does. I think she is so much more in the tank, and like I think she's one of those people that people don't realize is going to absolutely explode over the next couple of years.
Yeah. Who else? Who we got?
Who else did we have?
We had Christine, also from CHFP. Schiavello. I'm probably butchering her last name.
Yes.
I'm so sorry. She
was in the 71. She lifted right before. Yeah, she did really well.
She did, and it was her first nationals, I believe, which is I think so. So like and again, something I would love to hear more from you when we talk about your like how your experience is the difference in competing locally and nationally. And I know that obviously there's some difference. It's the lights are a little bit brighter, the stage is a little bit taller, and just like the nerves, I imagine it's a little bit different. But for her to show up at her first, what I believe was her first nationals, and to do as well as she did at her first nationals, it just like that takes a skill set that just frankly most people don't have. That's tough to do.
And another one, once again, in the 71s. I mean, we're stacked in the 71s right now in our region. Emma Huffman, she kind of came out of, I don't want to say came out of nowhere, because she's been my friend for a minute, and like I've known that this is coming, but like, she had a really great meet at finals. She went 6 for 6, and then she was one of those people kind of like me that was like teetering on the A and B session for a while, could get in, might not. Yeah. And this was like her first big A session. I mean, she kicked ass. She did go 3 for 3 in the clean and jerk and smoked 115 for a PR on her third attempt. And like, that girl brings energy. She's so intense. And she's a savage, and Phil Sabatini is her coach. And he's a savage. And so it was just like, she hit that 150 and everyone just exploded. It was great. It was so awesome.
Abby and I are each going to give our top 3 moments of nationals in a little bit. I have a suspicion even though her opinions are not the opinions of the whatever, like I'm guessing that Phil Sabatini is going to appear somewhere in your top 3 moments, but we'll get to that in a second. Before we do that, we talked about several 71s. All of them are very good. You were one of them, and I want to hear your thoughts. Like, it's like I saw your lifts. I thought they were great. But I sense that. I don't know. I got a weird. We were texting after you were done. I got a weird vibe. So what'd you think? How'd it
go? You know what? It was okay. It was a total. It was a step. I have kind of had a tumultuous kind of year with weightlifting. That started with 2022 American Open Finals. I went out, was grossly underprepared, and I bombed clean and jerks. I missed 104 thrice. And I missed the clean the first 2 attempts, and then I missed the jerk on the third one. It was gut wrenching. That was my first day session, so not amazing, but it is what it is. And I kind of was like, all right, well, you know what, it's fine. Like, nationals is the real gem that we're going for. And I turned around and I did the exact same thing at nationals last year in Colorado Springs. And these things happen. I get it. It is weightlifting. Sometimes the barbell is cruel. Sometimes we're not as prepared as we thought we were. But that one was rough. And so I've kind of been on this like war path of just proving to myself that like I deserve to be here. I deserve to be in these sessions. I'm strong enough to hit these lifts. And, I had a really great Arnold, and, I was coming off of that. And so going into this competition, I knew I had just a little bit of, life stuff going on, like stress-wise, that I knew was going to probably make prep not amazing. And, I did what I could to prepare. I still felt the strongest that I've ever been. Day of came and the anxiety hits, right? Like, I'm in an A session. I'm lifting with Olivia Reeves. I'm lifting with my friend Meredith Alwyn. Like, I'm lifting with Emma and Victoria and these incredible, strong girls who are just so kind. And like, you don't get starstruck. I'm at a point where like I've been in the sport for 7 years, so like I'm not starstruck anymore. But I do get that imposter syndrome, right? It's like, okay, I've got this great snatch, I can hit 90 plus, like kind of no big deal anymore. But clean and jerks have been such an issue for me for my entire like weightlifting career that like I just get this imposter syndrome of like, oh my God, these girls are so strong and they're clean and jerking X. And, who am I to think I deserve to lift with them? And like, it gets a little tough, right? The voices start going. And so, at a national meet, it's so hard to keep those voices at bay if you haven't done your homework beforehand. And like, let's be honest, I probably didn't do my homework beforehand as well as I could have. And it is what it is. And I turned around and had a 3 for 6 day. I snatched 90 on my second attempt, which, like I said, no big deal. I had a really good attempt at 92 on my third. It was just a little bit out in front, kind of crushed me just a little bit, but I think it's there. I think it's there on a good day. And, this upcoming training cycle will be nice to like make it be there on even not a good day. And then clean and jerks is kind of where the wheels fell off a little bit. I was really excited coming off the platform, even after the miss at 92. As Big Jake pointed out, I did the little spirit fingers after every lift, no matter what. But so I came off the platform after 92. I was really, really excited. And immediately my first thought is, all right, get 65 on the bar. Let's warm up clean and jerks. Because that was kind of, I got stuck in a really rough situation at nationals last year where, 80 kilos was on the bar in the back. And all of a sudden I'm called out to take 100 kilos. And,
is that not a jump you typically practice?
No, it's not. I have been practicing, however, 85 to 95, just to be a jackass. But like, 80 to 100 was a lot. Is a lot. So anyway, so immediately like the thoughts start going, the voices start, right? And it's like, oh my God, I need to get on the bar right now. And so warm-ups are going and it's freaking hot back there, dude. Like it was I was sweating bullets. I'm feeling sick. Like, it was not a good time. And, you know, everything went great. I smoked 100 in the back. And then the plan originally was to open 105. We were going to go 105, 108, 110. And after I hit 100 in the back, we put on 103. The clean was great. And then the jerk just went like, wah, and fell in front of me.
Yeah.
And so, like, when you when you miss your last warm up on your not arguably your worst lift, that's really tough mentally. And that's one of those places where, like, I want to be in a better position where I don't get rattled by something like that, especially for clean and jerks. Like, the ticket for me is if I don't get rattled and I'm just like, you know, cool the whole time, they're going to go great. But the second I start getting rattled with clean and jerks, that's when something goes awry. And so we lowered my opener to 103. And so I go out and absolutely smoke it on a stage. It felt completely different than it felt in the back. I was like, oh, okay, we're cooking again. And then I had a 1 minute clock, a 1 minute clock to take 106. And so I was like, oh, shit. And so I went out and I didn't even think twice about the clean at this point. Like, it was the weirdest thing because I was just like, I know I can stand this shit up. Like, this is fine.
Right.
And I did. It was ugly. And, like, I definitely got smooshed in the bottom a bit. Like, my core kind of went like, blah. And I had to grind that shit up. I'm pretty sure I made a noise, like, at center judge. I was like, or something. And, you know, anyway, I've got the bar on my shoulders, and, like, you know, I got my air and tossed it as hard as I could and drove it as hard as I could. And I drove it so hard that it fell behind me. I was like, oh my God, I've never done that before. And so I was like, well, that's fucking annoying. And as soon as I come off the stage, I'm just like, oh God, I'm gassed, right? Like, it's hot. I'm dying. Like, I just did so much movement and I'm breathing heavy. And Fred goes, it's going to be us. So just get ready. And I think in that moment, I was just like, well, this is what all the me moms were for. And so, you know, you kind of just got to turn it on and just be like, this sucks, but it's going to be over in like 30 seconds. So might as well just leave it all out there.
Yeah.
And if I leave it all out there, I mean, I piss all over the platform. This time I didn't. I want everyone to know that. I didn't know the platform, this competition. And anyway, so I've got like 20 seconds of rest. I like threw back some water, took a deep breath, went out and chalked up my hands. And, you know, I cleaned the shit out of 107, which is a kilo below, or 2 kilos, excuse me, below my PR. I'd like to add that just for my ego. And I cleaned it, and it's on my chest, and I left it out in front, left it out in Siberia at that point. Like, I was so tired and it just sucked. And so that was pretty defeating, you know, to come off the platform and just be like, ugh, I only put up 103, like, damn, you know? And so it's tough, right? Like, that's weightlifting, and it's going to happen sometimes. And it sucks that it happened like at my peak, right? Like, the Arnold was amazing and I had a great time at the Arnold, but like, that wasn't what we were working towards, right? This is what we were working towards. And for just all the dominoes to fall in the wrong spots and for me to not get the total I wanted was like, that sucked, right? Like, that's not great. And it is what it is. And like, all I can do is just, you know, accept that 193 was the total I had. And, you know, while I might know that it's not my best total and I didn't have my best day, like, the results don't care, right? No one cares.
Right.
And all that really matters is that I took my week off, like I did, and I missed the barbell, and I go back to the barbell on Monday, and we work for what's next.
We keep moving forward. That's right. All right, you ready for some questions? I got some follow-up questions.
Yeah, let's hear it. Interview.
All right. First of all, you said something earlier that I just think is like the most you thing, and that like you being like in warpath mode is like, when I think Abby Richards and lifting, like, I can absolutely see you being in warpath mode, and I mean that in the most endearing way. Like I love that. But a couple things I was thinking about while you were talking, you had mentioned past struggles like meets, big meets that you had not done well in, and I know just anybody who competes in weightlifting, like it's one thing to struggle within a single meet. Like you miss your first lift and you have to mentally recover from that and do what you got to do to get it together and make the second lift or the third or whatever. But can you talk about the challenge of struggling within, like not within, between meets, like you have a bad meet followed by a bad meet, maybe followed by a third bad meet, and the difficulty and the ways that you have kind of like adapted to and coped with and rebounded from like a couple of bad meets in a row to then come back and like, I mean, you can downplay your performance if you want, but you totaled at nationals and did so, I think is more impressive because you were able to come back from all of those other things. Like it didn't become this like, albatross. Like you were able to take that off and still focus on the here and now. And I think that's super important. It's super impressive and important. And I just want to know like your process for managing that kind of stuff.
Yeah. I mean, you said it best where like, making sure to become an albatross, right? Like I'm constantly reminded and I remind myself of like what happened, right? Because I'm goal oriented. I know I don't want to be there again. And so like, I think about it, right? And I think the way that you turn something negative into something productive is to make it a goal, like to go out and be like, all right, I didn't get a total this time. I'm going to get a total this time. And like you turn it into a goal, right? All right, I want to, and you don't turn it into a goal that makes it sound negative. You always do it in a positive fashion. Like, okay, I'm going to total it the next nationals. I'm going to total the next meet. I'm going to do this that was better, and just giving yourself a step, right? A stepping stone to take, instead of shooting for the moon, right? We don't always have to shoot for the moon. It's great when we do and when we're ready to, but if the iron's not hot and you got to just take your wins where you can get them, you take your wins where you can get them. And this meet, that's kind of the win that I got. That, and also like, one thing that I thought was really cool and like a cool statistic that I keep reminding myself to stay sane is that I'm 8 for 9 on my last 9 cleans. Whereas like this time last year, I was 1 for 9. I missed 104 3 times. And then I did a local meet after that where I missed 103 twice and then hit it on a do or die attempt. And then I went out and missed 104 3 times. Like I was 1 for 9. I'm 8 for 9, right? Like the only clean that I missed was freaking 104 at a local meet, right? And we went up and it was fine. So like I'm just never gonna load 104 again. That's the thing.
Yes.
You know what?
Yes. The key, folks, for everyone at home, the key is to just avoid your problems. They'll go away.
that problem will go away because I'm strong, and the next time you see me, I'm gonna open at 105, 106. It's gonna be
I don't doubt it. And this kind of dovetails in my next question. You had mentioned, and forgive me, I forgot the numbers, but you had planned on certain numbers. And I know that people do this. I do this going into any meet, but especially a national meet, because like you get a little extra, like, juice for the bigger meets, and to have you train for those numbers and you set them in your head, and then you show up and like for any number of a gazillion reasons, it's just not like your 10 out of 10 day. Can you talk about, I guess, how you have to like change gears and what that process is like and how you refocus when you realize maybe I don't open at 105, I got to open at 103, and that's okay. I got to like make the lift anyway.
Yeah. So there's two pieces of this puzzle, right? And the first piece that like leading up to meets, I don't obsess over openers anymore. I don't obsess over warm-up attempts. Like honestly, that's something that Freddie and I don't even talk about until like week of, like, what, like we take whatever happened on like test day or heavy day or whatever you want to call it, whatever it's called. We don't talk about that stuff like until we need to. And so like I'm not obsessing over it and I'm not ingraining numbers into my head, you know, for months leading up to a competition, right? And I think that's a mistake a lot of lifters make, especially like early on in their career, or like when they're at a milestone meet like nationals. You know, if you obsess over a certain number and it goes wrong, like you're going to ruin the experience for yourself, you know, or you're going to work yourself up so hard, like worrying about things your coach should be worrying about and things that can change on game day, that like you're not going to enjoy the process. And I have so many friends that do this, and like they obsess over openers, they obsess over, you know, warm up attempts, they obsess over what their friends are going to open at. And it's like, just let it be, you know?
Yeah.
So,
Go ahead. I'm sorry.
no, you're good. So like, honestly, like the prep for that stuff starts months in advance, being chill and not making it more than it needs to be.
Yeah. And it's a thing that is so easy to say and so difficult to do, is just to focus on whatever the next lift is. Like, you don't need to worry about your opener, because you got to make like 7 to 10 warm-up lifts just to get there. Like, so just make the bar, just make 35 kilos, you know, like seriously, like just focus on the thing in front of you. And it's tough to do in training. It's tough to do at a local meet. I imagine the pressure is even more like exponentially compounded at a national meet, because like, you know, there's some extra prestige, there's some extra pride. You want to like show off all of your hard work. It's got to be tough. And the fact that you are able to do that, I mean, that's why, part of the reason why you're on that stage in the first place, is because not everybody can do that. And it's a skill that you have to learn. And it's not the only reason you were there, but it is a reason.
Part of
and
it,
another reason why you should be super proud of the performance that you had.
Yeah.
Just one more thing, and then we'll move on to the next topic. I want to know, because a lot of folks are at the level where they're competing at local meets, or maybe they're doing an AO series and they have aspirations of competing at AO finals or nationals. And can you just discuss briefly like the differences, the key differences in your mind, competing locally and competing nationally? Ideally, like in everyone's head, it would just be, you know, nothing changes. We can say that a million times, nothing changes. But the reality is, like, it's a different experience. So can you just talk about that for a little bit?
Yeah. First of all, do your accessories. Lifters that are like
with straps or without straps?
Yeah, please.
No?
I'm gonna get here, because here's my thing. When somebody at any level skips their accessories, you're skipping something that adds to your overall strength, right? And like how good your accessories are and how much bearing they have on your overall you know, strength base, I think is going to vary. And if people don't think they're getting a lot out of accessories, they're probably doing the wrong accessories. And maybe you want to take a look at that with your coach. But like the people who skip them are the people who plateau for the longest, or the people who can't take that next step, right? You know, there's two reasons. One, you're just not working on the little muscle groups to help your body get stronger, to help your mobility, whatever the heck the accessories are like there for. You're not getting those added benefits, right? And two, like that just tells me you're not willing to do the right things right. You know, like you're not going to do everything you can to get to the next level. And so I don't have patience for people who like they say they want to take the next step, but then they joke and they skip their accessories and they get out of the gym before, you know, before a certain time. Like, you know, you're not doing everything. And it's okay if you don't want to do everything, you want to skip your accessories, that's fine. But then like you got to really think, all right.
Your mouth says it's fine, but your face says, I despise you.
But what I don't despise people that don't do their accessories, and I don't despise that like they're not doing their accessories. What I despise is they're not doing it and then they're complaining that they're not taking the next step. You know, like
yes.
you're not doing everything that you can to take the next step. You're not.
It is there can be, we won't say categorically there is in every case, but there can be a lack of appreciation for, like you said, all the little things that you have to do to put yourself in the position to have that 10 out of 10 day at the local meet to qualify for the national meet. And then it's, you know, it's even more like the screws are even a little bit tighter. You got to be even more precise, even more on point with not just like taking the lifts that your coach programs for you, but doing everything you can to recover your accessory work, which is outside of just snatching and clean and jerking and squatting and pulling, like, all of that stuff, getting, you know, the right nutrition. It's yeah, I'm just repeating your point, and you would know better than I would. So just for everyone who doesn't know either of us, Abby is a national caliber lifter, and my claim to fame is that to date, anyway, I have successfully mustered the will to survive in every training session I've ever had. Which, and guys, it's not like it's still early. Like we very well may see the end one day. It'll just be like a solo show for Abby, and you'll be like, well, today I guess it didn't go well today, but I talk like I know what you're talking about. I don't, and in part, maybe don't judge me too harshly. Sometimes I don't do all my accessories. Maybe that's it. But again, I think your perspective is especially important because you've been at that level, and can speak from experience. Not everybody can. So, you want to get to our top 3 moments, and let's set some ground rules, because we've already talked a lot about the local lifters, a lot of great local performances. I want your top 3 moments, and I'll make an exception for you because I know where you're going with at least one of these. Your top 3 moments from non-local lifters, unless that local lifter is Phil Sabatini. Okay, go ahead with your 3.
Yeah. All right. So the first one was, I think this is just a no freaking brainer to anybody ever. Olivia Reeves is just next level. It's really cool that, I'm not a witch, but I think we can all see that she's about to have a couple world records, right? Maybe she's going to bring up some hardware. And it was just really cool to see, there was a lot of speculation leading up there. Like, do you think she's just in power? Like, do you think she's even a lift? And I was like, that girl's going to send it. Like, she just sends it for a living. And she freaking did it.
She snatched 120 and then clean jerked 152?
Clean and jerked 151, which
51, sorry.
1 kilo's her already existing American record, and she just skipped off the platform afterwards.
Well, and that's the thing that's impressive about her is we describe it as she just sends it, but it doesn't look like she's sending it. It looks like she's I don't know, at her attempt before the attempt, before her final attempt, and then her opener comes after. That's what 120, 151 looked like, which is just absurd. I don't understand. I don't understand.
Phil skips away and compliments your face gems, and it's it's crazy. All right, let's hear one of yours before I start to ramble again.
We got to talk about Cicely Kyle.
Dude.
Okay, so for anyone who has not seen this or has not heard about it, she is a 45.
She's a 45. Also
45, which is the lightest weight class for females, and is probably the toughest weightlifter in the country. I think she's got to be in the conversation given what happened at nationals.
Yeah.
She cleans the bar. During the clean, dislocates one of her fingers, adjusts the bar while standing, pops her finger back into place, gets her hands back into position, and then makes the jerk. Well, let's just talk about the coordination alone required to do all of that with a weighted object on your shoulders. But the toughness and the tenacity and the ability to refocus to then make the I imagine that was not a painless experience, Because
she's got the medical background. I'm pretty sure she's a physician's assistant or something
of
that. It's in her wheelhouse. Of all the people that this could have happened to, she's the person for it to happen to, because she knows exactly what she's doing.
Yeah. It was pretty
impressive.
Cool. Impressive does not do justice to what that was.
Lots kids.
Yeah. All right, give me one of yours.
There we go. All right, I'm gonna go down a rabbit hole. I specifically didn't bring up this performance when I was talking or when we were recapping local lifters, but we've said his name a few times. Phil's performance was gut-wrenching. He just is an icon. When he came out with 180 on the bar and started to take his shoes off, it was just I don't think there was a dry eye in the building.
Can you just, for anyone who doesn't know, can you explain that gesture, what that means?
So typically in weightlifting, when a lifter takes off their shoes and leaves their shoes on the platform, that's like symbolic that they've retired. Like that's it. They're done. They're not gonna train anymore or compete anymore. And like that's their retirement. And so Phil came out and retired in front of his friends, his family, his peers, just everybody, and it was something.
And can you, for anyone who may not be super familiar with Phil, and can you just talk about a little bit of the background of why that was such a significant moment? You know, anybody, I guess, could do that, and like, you know, people would clap and be polite, but like it meant more because of who Phil is as a human being, and also all of the things that he has accomplished and come back from in his career. Can you kind of like recap, you know, kind of briefly his career?
Phil's been lifting for over 10 years now.
Yeah.
He's been on several international teams. In my opinion, he's one of the best lifters in the country to not go to the Olympics, which I think is a damn shame. And he also, on the side, he is a dad to 3 children. He has a wife. He has a whole family, and he coaches. He's got a gym. Like, the guy does everything, and he has given so much back to the sport. And so it was really nice to see him get the reception, you know, that he deserved.
And to have the success that he's had for the duration of the career, like the duration alone is impressive. To be at that high of a level for more than a decade in weightlifting is it's such a demanding sport in so many ways. We've talked about that. For him to stay at that high level, he's experienced gruesome injuries, like and very publicly, like and just like was undeterred, came back, got back to essentially the same level he was at. And on top of all of that, like, if you walked up to him for the first time, he would treat you as if he had been your friend, like a childhood friend, like always smiles, always welcoming, always willing to help you. And I say this, like, I don't know Phil, but like when I interact with Phil, he treats me like we know each other. Right? Yeah. Like he's a great dude. And I agree. Couldn't have. I'm glad that he got to go out the way that he wanted to. And I also support I know, you know, the admin's views are not the views of Abby Richards, but like hypothetically, if they were, I support your movement to get him into the USAW Hall of Fame.
And I'm this, by the way, like, this is a lot of people that are just like, what can we do? What can we do? So, you know, we're trying our hardest to get him the recognition he deserves and to make sure he's immortalized. But yeah, it's just, and again, it's another testament. Like, I see it behind the scenes, like how beloved he is, just the amount of people reaching out to me, like, what can we do? And I wish I had more answers for them, but until then, I'm just going to scream into the void and tag you on everything.
It looks like we stole one of each other's. I was going to talk about Olivia Reeves, and we've covered Phil. Let's talk about one more.
Yeah.
And I don't know if you saw this, or you were probably, I don't think you had competed at this point, so you probably didn't. But one of the really cool things that I saw on Saturday, there was a 76 kilogram female lifter named Renee Burnett, and she was in the adaptive category. And her left arm, she didn't have like anything from the elbow down, so she was snatching and clean and jerking with one hand. Like, literally, like just grabbed the middle of it and just went for it in both the snatch and clean jerk. She went, I believe, 5 for 6. And it was so great to see that, like that. I don't know anything about her. I've never met her. I don't know. I know she goes to All South Barbell in Georgia. But just a super impressive performance and an inspiring performance every time you show up to the gym. And I say you, but I mean me. And I'm tired and I'm hungry and I don't want to be there. And I've got to do this and that. And I just kind of like, you know, I pout my way through the session. Like, I promise you that she's not doing that. Like that. I don't think she understands what excuses are, because like to be able to, for anyone who has never tried it, in your next training session, don't tell your coach because they'll get upset, but like try to snatch with one hand and then try to clean and jerk with one hand. Like, just like super impressive. Yeah. So shout out to Renee. If you ever want to come on the show, we'll make an exception. I know you're from Georgia. We'll get you on the show. Like, yeah, well, I'll talk to the Brian. Brian will allow it. We'll talk him into it.
Brian will allow it.
All right, let's move on from nationals. Let's look forward to a couple things in the local area that are coming up that are really cool. And let's start with listen, Kara Headslaughter doesn't need to flex. Everybody knows she's a former Olympian. She's a phenomenal coach, great human being, and yet just insists on continuing to flex at every possible opportunity. And this time she's bringing into town one of her close friends, Kendrick Ferris.
Yep.
If you have never heard the name Kendrick Ferris, if you haven't seen any of his lifts, went to multiple Olympics, just Google his name and watch the ferocity with which he moves a barbell. It is incredible. I am so envious of just like he goes from still to just violent, precise movement, and it is awesome. It is so cool. And so anyway, he's coming into town. Well, this is going to be what we're going to post this on Monday. So he's coming into town this coming Sunday. And he's going to be at CHFP, which is in Alexandria. He's going to be there for 3 hours. And he's just going to be there to share his knowledge, his insights. He's going to help some folks with, whatever they're working on. Because in addition to being, again, like we've got this terrible thing going on where people are both really athletic and strong and good human beings. And it's just really tough for the rest of us to swallow because, like, what are we supposed to pick on here? But he's going to be there. He's great. Similar to Phil, like, I don't know Kendrick Ferris. There's no way he would recognize me if I walked by him on the street. But every time I've interacted with him, the small handful of times that it has been, super welcoming, super open, very kind, very generous. And he's going to be there to just share his knowledge with Kara at their place. For anybody who wants in, right now, you're in a tough spot because they've already sold out. But there is a wait list. I encourage you to get on the wait list. Inevitably, people will, something will come up, people will back out. So you got a shot. You got to get on the wait list. We'll try to post a link to that on the IG page. Is that cool?
Yeah, I can do.
Cool. And after that, we got Tough Temple. You want to talk about Tough Temple a little bit?
Yeah, Tough Temple. It's going to be a 2-day meet. They are doing, I think it's the 13th and the 14th. That's down in Bethesda, Tough Temple Barbell. Our boy John Weeks, he hosts a great meet. I might make an appearance. I might.
You're going to grace the people.
Huh?
You're going to grace the people with your presence?
I'm going to bless the people not only with my presence, with my microphone skills.
Oh my God. We'll try to get some live footage for the next episode of the podcast.
We might have to. I'll see if I can bring my tiny mic and everything. But yeah, so Tough Temple 2-day meet. They are sold out at this point, I think.
Well, registration will be closed by the time this episode goes live. But I talked to John this past week. The thing that he needs now, 2 things.
Volunteers.
If you've never been to a local meet, one, you should just come and watch. It's a super fun atmosphere. Everybody supports everybody. I know, and they should. Everybody works hard. The lifters care about their lifts and whether they make it or miss it or hit this number or hit that number. Nobody in the audience cares. They just want everyone to do well and have fun, and no one in the audience is going to remember your performance. They're just going to remember that you were there and you were fucking going for it, and that's what we're there to support. That's what we want to see. So, one, if you've never been, or if you have been, show up again. It's a great meet. John always puts on a good meet. But if you have the time and the interest, John would really support volunteers. The volunteer list is out. We will also post a link to that on the IG page. Please sign up. There's no task too small that's not important. We need people to load weights. We need people to set up chairs, break down the stuff after everything's over with. Like, whatever amount of time you can give would be super appreciated. You want to talk about I'll touch on the next thing after that. The weekend after that, July's a busy month. I think we got stuff in every single weekend locally. After that is Kara at CHFP again is doing an L1 course on the 20th and 21st that weekend. I should have prepped. I don't know if they're sold out, but it never hurts to reach out. And also, even if you can't make it in this time, Kara is one of the local folks that regularly, a couple times a year, will host L1s. I'm sure she'll do it again.
The last one.
What's that?
It won't be the last one.
Yeah, for sure. And then the next weekend, if you couldn't make it into Tough Temple, registration is still open for the Black and Red Open, which will be at Invictus. It'll be a good time. We always listen. Is it going to be hot? Yes. Is it going to be worth it? Also, yes.
So yes.
You're always more limber.
By the way, Navy Yard, DC.
Yeah, in the Navy Yard, close to Nats Park, so you can see the sights.
Lots of walkable restaurants afterwards too.
That's true. So we will hit you guys up for volunteers and for spectators in the next episode. But for now, just register. Even if you do Tough Temple, just use this as a fun way to just come hang out with your friends and lift some heavy weight. It triggers your heavy day.
Big Saturday.
Big Saturday.
Get it in.
Yeah. All right. What else do we have? We get that.
So I also, I turned it over to the IG today to see, what you guys want us to talk about. We definitely want to talk more about WSO championships, probably in the next episode. Everybody met last night. Everybody minus yours truly, because someone was buying a car, and talked a little bit more about where we're at with WSOs. And so Steve and I will have more of an update and more of a kind of where we're at, what it's going to look like for you next time.
I can, if you're okay with it. Don't tell Brian, but I can give a little bit of a tease.
Yeah, we should tease.
Give a little bit of a tease. For anybody who has signed up, one, thank you so much. For anyone who has not signed up, you're making a mistake. Sign up today. Don't wait. There's going to be, it's going to be at CrossFit Revamped in Columbia, Maryland, not Columbia. That would not be within our purview as the WSO. We are going to have a hotel, a block of rooms at a local hotel. So for anybody who's having to travel from, anywhere, if you end up with an early session or you don't want to do the drive the day of, we will have a block of rooms at a hotel. We are very close to confirming and locking in which hotel, and for sure in our next episode we will be able to give you that information. Also, just as a teaser to some of the sponsors, to some of the vendors that are going to be there and have cool stuff and get cool stuff to all of you, Caffeine and Kilos is going to be one of those companies. Onyx, RP for your dietary needs. Celsius is going to be there. They're going to be giving out all sorts of stuff. And a local nutrition company, Allay Fuel, is also going to be there. They work with a couple of the athletes in the area, but they do really good, really in-depth nutrition work to get you guys squared away on that. And we will have more sponsors and more vendors. There'll be food trucks. I believe, did you confirm with Mike Choi? I believe he said he was definitely in to do a dunk tank where people can just pay like a dime or maybe it was a quarter and just really give it to him.
Well, you know what? I feel like Mike would be a good sport, but then I think he might want to take a few shots at me just in retribution for all the memes I've been making about.
All right. Well, how about this? If by the end of, how about that? Before our next episode, we're going to, just so you guys know, we're going to try to do this every other week. So you've got 2 weeks. If before our next episode, another 25 people sign up for the WSO championships, we will set up a dunk tank and you can dunk your choice. Mike Choi, Abby, me, you can pick. But those 25 people, the next 25 people who sign up, as long as it's before our next episode, we'll make that happen.
No.
I committed you to this before actually knowing whether that's a thing you're willing to do, but now you're in. You can't back out. So thank you for your service.
Yeah, no take backs.
Do we get any questions from the IG from the people? Do we have any questions to answer from the people?
Not really. They really, I think the main thing is they want to know about WSOs. Everyone wants Phil in the Hall of Fame, and that's about it. So hopefully you guys send us more stuff next time.
Yeah, so we're gonna as we build this show out and as we grow it, we're gonna try to come up with fun segments. We'll take ideas. We'll always take ideas, but we really want engagement from as many of you as possible. We want to hear from you. We want your ideas. We want your suggestions. We want your questions. We want your insults. Always love a good insult. And yeah, we just let us know what's on your mind and what we can do for you.
Yeah, otherwise we're just gonna yell at each other for like an hour every other week.
And I think people will still tune in for that, but maybe if we give them an additional thing, there'll be some yelling and some other things. They probably a better long-term strategy.
Yeah.
Before we go, I can confidently tease at least one future guest because he's already said that he's willing to do it. So we'll try to make it happen. Chris Camaneras, your favorite male 61 national champion and mine, is going to come on the show and talk to us. For anyone who doesn't know, another frustratingly amazing human being. It's my least favorite quality about him. But he was a really good lifter. He's always been a really good lifter. And then took several years where he just didn't lift. And then got back into it and just methodically built slowly. He didn't try to jump back to right where he was, where he left off. He was very smart, very precise, had a plan, and built his way back. And in a relatively short amount of time, given he took multiple years off, worked his way back to being a national champion. And it's a great story. I'm hoping he'll share some insights about what that process was like, what his process is like just on a daily, weekly, monthly basis. And he's super smart. He actually he reads books and stuff, which I don't. Abby, can you read? I struggle most of the time. Oh, wow, you've got books too? Is it just me? Oh boy. All right. I'll take book suggestions. Apparently, we're going to be readers on this podcast. So anyone got book suggestions, I'll take them. And anything else before we go, Abby?
No, I think I'm all good on my end.
All right. One last thing we're going to make everyone love some good soft elbows videos. So send us your best soft elbows videos. If you're okay with it, obviously we're not trying to embarrass anybody, but if you're okay with it, maybe we share a couple. Just highlight, what the people are doing, what they're up to, how they're honoring us. Because otherwise, they wouldn't do the lift with soft elbows unless it was to just in our honor. They're not doing it because, they've got any sort of deficiencies. They're doing it on purpose for us. Yeah. I'll start with some of mine. I have no shame.
I can show you. Look at that. Look how
wow.
left elbow is.
Are you only doing accessories on one arm, Abby?
I was doing.
Think about how much better of a lifter you'd be if you did accessories with both arms.
Huh?
Think about how much better of a lifter you'd be if you did accessories with both arms.
I know. One side.
All right. Well, I'll try to read some books. Abby's going to try to do accessories with both arms, and we'll see you in a couple weeks. Thank you so much, and let us know what you think about the show. See y'all later.
All right.